ScagCNN estimating visual characterization of 2D scatterplot via convolutional neural networks by Vĩnh Phạm, Ngân Nguyễn, and Tommy Duck from Interactive Data Visualization Lab, Computer Science Department, Texas Tech University. Scagnostics is a set of visual features that characterize the data distribution of a 2D scatterplot. It has been used in a wide range of applications. These are the scagnostic measurements. They include outlying scores, skew, sparse, clumpy, striated, and other scores. In a recent work, we also extended this visual feature into 3D and ND versions. However, Scagnostics conventional algorithms involves a computationally expensive algorithm, and they are also sensitive to small shifts in the underlying data distributions. Therefore, in this work, we propose a machine learning solution to this problem. We first use the synthesized as well as the real-life dataset and use the conventional scagnostic measurement to generate the scagnostic scores for these scatterplots. The generated scores and the scagnostic plots are then used to learn our machine learning models. This learned machine learning models is then used to predict the unseen scatterplots for scagnostics measurement. This is a schematic overview of our approach. In the first layers, we generate the synthesized as well as using a real-life dataset for our approach. The data is then normalized into the range of 0 to 1. This normalization is to confront with the original scagnostic implementation, and it helps to make sure that one variable is not going to dominate the others. In the second layers, we also applied binning in order to improve performance. This binning is also required by the original scagnostic implementations. Also, it helps machine learning in the aspects that it will generate the fixed image sizes, and the size is 40 by 40 binning size as specified by the original scagnostic implementations. In the next layer, we use the generated data to learn the prediction models as well as the classification model to classify the scagnostic plot into one of these scagnostic measurements. And our models help to improve computation time and also reduce the sensitivity to small changes in the underlying data. The learned model is then used to classify the unseen plots and also to predict the scagnostic scores for them. We also provide interactive data visualization to report the result, and also the interaction help the user to explore if the prediction works or if it does not work. The dataset used in this project includes a synthesized as well as the real-world dataset, and the synthesized dataset includes 900 plots. We generate 100 scatterplots per scagnostic measures. The generated scatterplots for scagnostic measures should flag or give a high values for their target measurement. Real-world dataset, we collected 589 plots from different sources such as the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the World Bank Open Data Repository, National Consortium for the Studies of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism, finally the New York Stock Exchange. We also applied augmentation technique in order to generate 5,890 more plots from the real-life datasets. The augmentation strategy is that we add a small noise epsilon that follow a normal distribution of variance of size 1/40. 40 is the binning size. We selected this in order to avoid skewing the underlying distribution too much. The total number of scatterplots that we use is 7,379 plots. After having the data, we use this Scagnostic JS library to compute the scagnostic scores, and they include 6 computation stages. They are first normalization, second binning, third triangulation, fourth minimum spanning tree, fifth is finding the degree 1 and 2 vertices, and lastly compute the convex and concave holes. It is nearly impossible to explore all the architectures for neural networks in order to give the best models. So our strategy is that we explore current state of the art CNN models such as AlexNet, GoogleNet, and VGG. Although all the three give very good result in computer vision tests, Oxford Visual Geometric Groups, or VGG, provide a template called VGG Blocks to help the researcher to build subsequent architectures based on VGG. So such typical VGG blocks is here. It normally involves one or two convolution layers followed by a pooling layers. The main ideas of VGG blocks is that when you decrease the spatial size of the pictures using pooling, let's say, you need to first increase the depth of that pictures using filters, so that you're gonna learn deeper latent features, and also you'll be able to keep the volume of information, because when you reduce the width and height, you need to increase the volume. Now we use all the things to generate the predictions and classification models. For predictions, the data we use all the 7,000 something plots, and 10% of them are reserved for testing, 90% are for training validation, so 2/3 of the 90% is for training and the rest is for validation. The strategy used is that we first test with one VGG block, then we increase to 2 VGG blocks, then 3 VGG blocks, so on and so forth. And whenever we observe the overfitting, such as the one over here, then we start using dropout and regularization. The next one is when we add more VGG layers and see that it does not help, then we stop going deeper and we do not add anymore. After experimentation, we selected the configuration as the number 8 over here, and they include 2 VGG blocks, followed by 2 dense layers and 3 dropout layers as well. And it's worth noting that the weight and bias regularization do not have in this case, so we only use the dropout, avoiding the overfitting issues. For classification models, we use 900 synthesized plots only because they have the label first to train the models. The data split for test, train, and validations are similar to previous one. Also, we made one assumption is that we selected the configuration number 8 as in prediction model because we assume that this configuration is useful in extracting latent spatial information from the data. So we use this again for classification tasks, and the only change that we made is to use the submax activation instead of ReLU at the last layer. It is observable that the validation accuracy is acceptable in this case. It is 98%. Result visualization and evaluations. So first one is a prediction result. We also provide the visualization in this place for user to further explore, interact and explore more about the result. The blue X are the Scagnostic score calculated by the conventional Scagnostic algorithm. The gray bands over here is Q1 to Q3. The predicted score. We display them in band to avoid cluttering issues because we have a lot of data point to display over here. The orange dots are the point which is lower than the Q1 of the predicted score, or the point which is higher than Q3 of the predicted scores. We display this in individual points because those are the points that we need to investigate. Previous, the Q1 means the first quartile and the Q3 means the third quartile. It's observable that all of the mean absolute errors are smaller than 0.1, and the mean of absolute 0 for the clumpy score is the worst, and we'll explain later why. Classification result. So we also test our classification result. First is we test our classification result on typical and synthesized data sets because they have the labels, so that, and the labels on the left is the actual labels and the labels on the right is the predicted labels, and our accuracy is 98%. We also applied our classification model into unseen real life data sets, and since they are real life, we don't have labels for them. We use 2 human experts in order to evaluate the correctness of the predicted result, and the accuracy is 91%. The expert observation, they say that most of the wrongly classified plots are belonging to clumpy ones as well. This indicates that either our generated data is not good for clumpy, or again, the clumping measure is sensitive. We also evaluate the sensitivity of the underlying algorithms. The strategy is that we're gonna make some slight changes to the underlying data using real life time series data, or delete, add one or more points to the data, add small random noise to the data. And our strategy is that we use real time series data. And we use the prevalence of HIV dataset for the years of 2011 and the year of 2014, so that there is only a small changes in the underlying data, but we won't see a large difference of outlying edges generated by the underlying algorithm. Therefore, the underlying score change abruptly from 0.296 to 0.5 something abruptly. But if we use the machine learning models, they are more robust. They only change from 0.82 to 0.92 something, and it's really reasonable because the change between the two are very small. Machine learning models are more robust because it has the ability to learn the data from the data with noises, and also CNN works well with small changes in underlying data. Runtime evaluations. We evaluated our runtime on all 589 real-world plots and reported the result from here. It is observable that the machine learning approach is about tenfold faster than the conventional approach. It's also worth noting that it takes time to load the models itself. It's about 86 milliseconds. It's also take time to do the first single predictions, because for that first single prediction, it's required the WebGL compilations. Therefore, it's better to use machine learning to do the large batch prediction rather than small individual predictions. In order to confirm the performance of our approach, we also implement and evaluate our approach using Python. We use Python binding to our Scagnostics library for executing conventional algorithms. And we executed 30 times on the all 7,000 plots and report the runtime, CPU, and memory utilization here. It is observable that the machine learning models cumulative runtime is better than the conventional approach. Also, it's worth noting that the performance gains thanks to high CPU utilization due to parallelizations. That's why you can see even 1,200% of the CPU utilization over here due to using multiple cores. It also uses a lot higher percentage in terms of memories. Conclusions and future works. ScagCNN leverages their machine learning power to reduce the computation times, reduce the sensitivity of the slight changes in the underlying data contributions. We also made implementations of our approaches, tested our approaches, and provide evaluations of our approaches as well. The repository of our projects is here. We tested and evaluated our approach on real-life and synthesized datasets. We provide visualization and interactions to report and explore results. In the future, we will learn models to predict 3D and ND Scagnostic scores. Also, we will learn models to predict other visual features like assessment metrics and parallelizations. These are the references to the main Scagnostic computations using conventional approaches. Thank you, and we are ready to receive any questions if you